Hi guys, and welcome to the third installment of the top 5 questions to ask about the housing market during Corona. The third question that we're addressing today is this going to be like 2008? And I think that's what everybody who is interested in buying or selling or currently works in the housing or mortgage industry is definitely worried about that. I want to start off by saying my personal indication is that we are absolutely not in anything close to 2008. I have a lot of documentation and data to support that reasoning. I'm going to try and go back through it as much as possible. Please bear with me as I look at my notes. I want to make sure that I'm right on, okay? So why is it different? First of all, as I mentioned in my last video, in 2008, the mortgage and housing industry was a primary reason for the recession. Our industry and the fall of our industry is what kind of created that recession. That is absolutely not what the case is now, today. As I mentioned, we're actually in such a strong position that we're poised to be the industry that helps pull the United States out of that recession when all of this passes. So let me give you some background information to kind of show you how we're different than we were in 2008. So the first thing I wanted to compare is kind of those recessions in general. There was a 500-point drop in the stock market, and that resulted in 2008, well actually it's 6, 7, 8, cumulatively that was a 20% drop in housing housing depreciation by 20%. So today we're in a very different scenario. In fact, if we look back at the dot-com crash and 9/11, we are very much more in that kind of environment. So in dot-com and 9/11, the S&P declined by 500 points, similar to 2008, but home appreciation increased. So homes went up in price. So even though you look at a similar stock market depreciation or decline, there were very different reactions to home prices in 2008 versus 9/11.com, those kinds of things. So how are we similar to 9/11 and the dot-com situation? It is the same parts of the economy that are currently under pressure, and those are primarily consumer discretionary services. So restaurants, leisure, hospitality, entertainment, those are the areas of our economy that are currently under pressure, and those are the same areas of the economy that were under pressure at the 9/11 and during that kind of time period. The 6 years leading up to 2008, please reference the graph, were very high appreciation years, astronomically high. The 6 years prior to now are nowhere near those same levels. In fact, our highest appreciation year in the last 6 years is not even equal to the lowest appreciation year in the 6 years prior to 2008. So right then we're showing that there's a major difference in the housing market and how it's set up. The next thing I want to talk about is credit availability. Credit availability is typically measured, I'm sorry, I'm not looking at you guys, but it's typically measured by the Mortgage Credit Availability Index. And the higher that index is, the easier it is for people to get mortgages. So prior to 2008, before the housing bubble, that statistic was up at 868.7, okay? Crazy high. I mean, you could just walk in and they were handing you money, or at least it felt that way. Now, that credit availability index is at 181.3. It is absolutely not even close. It doesn't even come close to being as high as it was. So what happened after 2008 is lenders really reined in what was required for them to lend out on a mortgage, and that has had a direct impact on lowering that availability. So we're just not giving money to everybody. The next thing I want to talk about is inventory. You've seen in my prior videos that heading into 2020, we really had an inventory crisis. So a normal market has about 6 months of supply on the market at any given time. Prior to 2008, there were 8.2 months of supply on the market. So it was clearly a buyer's market. There was a lot of inventory. But right now, we're at 3.1 months so we are far below and we have a shortage of inventory, and that hopefully will help us again through this situation. And then the last thing I want to talk about how we are very different than 2008 is home equity and what people have taken out of their home. Prior to the bubble, prior to 2008, people were using their home as a credit. They were just sucking the equity out of their home and using it for new boats or vacations, things like that. So in the 3 years prior to the bust, which would be 2005, 2006, and 2007, there was $824 billion, yes, that's with the B, $824 billion of equity had been pulled out of people's homes. $824 billion, that is crazy. In the prior 3 years to now, 2017, 18, and 19, only $232 billion have been pulled out. That is what? A little or close to a fourth of the amount of money, which means a lot of people have equity in their homes still. So that even if the market shifts, they'll still be able to refinance, they still have funds, they're not over leveraging their homes. So that's what I got for you now to show that we are definitely not in the same place that we were at in 2008. And I just want to reiterate that we're anticipating that things are going to come back strong, that once the snow melts, once we're through this and things begin to open up, you're going to see buyers and sellers out there. You're going to see people with good credit scores getting out there and purchasing their homes, selling, upgrading, and the time is still good. So do not fear. If you have questions or concerns, let me know. Feel free to take a look at my resources. And don't forget, dream big and